Hello and welcome to this new Energy Markets Talk, where this time we discuss advantages and challenges with respect to clearing of energy market trades. Especially in these turbulent times, this is an important topic, so we have invited Babett Pavlics, who is the CEO of KELER CCP, a large clearinghouse based in Hungary. Welcome, Babett. Thank you for joining and good to see you again.
Thank you, Patrick, for the invitation. I'm really looking forward to our talk.
Yeah, how was life in Budapest?
Everything is fine. We have a beautiful weather, so we are really looking forward to see all the industry experts in our conference.
Yeah, exactly. For the viewers that are not familiar with what you do, so as a clearinghouse, you basically validate and settle a transaction to ensure that both the buyer and the seller honor their contractual obligations, right?
Yes, a central counterparty has actually a very important role in the stability of the markets, because our major role, as you correctly mentioned, is the counterparty risk management. So we try to eliminate the risk that you are taking with your trading partner.
Yeah, exactly. Well, in the recent 8 months, we've seen extremely turbulent times in the energy markets that presented problems related to risk levels and high margins. So to set the scene, can you explain what kind of challenges energy traders are facing?
Yes, I think once now that we are talking to the energy community, I don't need to explain that the gas and electricity prices have reached record heights at the end of 2021 and actually even higher levels when the unfortunate invasion of Ukraine happened in the first weeks of March 2022. If price records would have not been enough, we have seen extreme volatility, which I think the energy markets have never seen before. Besides these price movements, we have to also understand the regime and the regulatory environment we are working in. After the 2008 crisis, financial market crisis at that time, regulators wanted to promote the stability of the markets. And let's remember that they introduced EMIR and the EMIR regime. And in this regime, all the forward and futures transactions that energy traders are doing now needs to be centrally cleared. So a central counterparty needs to be involved. We with that offer the stability and counterparty risk management. But counterparty risk management also requires strict risk models and with that very high collaterals. So now I arrive to the problem, because these extreme price levels and the volatility actually resulted in such a huge collateral requirements from CCPs that have put extremely big pressure on the traders when it comes to liquidity and their sources. So I think this was a huge problem, of course, apart from the general turbulences and price levels that we have never seen before.
Yeah. Your company is very active on social media, on LinkedIn and YouTube. You educate market participants about central clearing. Why are you putting so much effort into knowledge sharing and education?
Before joining KELER CCP, I was working more than 20 years in the banking industry, where I was dealing with investment products, institutional investors, banks, where exchanges, trading, central counterparties was actually very well known. But even there, I realized that actually what we are really doing as a central counterparty was not that clear. And especially this is even more true in the energy market, where the bilateral OTC trading is still the basic trading method, and exchanges and central counterparties are actually evolving just now. So we at KELER CCP believe that there is need for an explanation and actually teaching the market what central counterparties are doing, what are the benefits we are bringing to the market. And of course, we also wanted to explain why we are so strict on several requirements, let it be onboarding, clearing member monitoring, or the already mentioned margins and collaterals.
Yeah, clear. Well, using central clearing and also being a member of a CCP, it can be liquidity demanding and expensive, especially during these turbulent times. I know you're going to say it's worth it, probably, but can you tell me why you think, all things considered, you think it's worth at the end of the day to be a member?
Yeah, thank you, Patrick. After mentioning these challenges that we cause, I was expecting this question. So I would start with that the last months, or these 9 months, 8 months behind us, were really extreme. I would maybe mention one of our energy industry experts that KELER CCP works with. Once when we were asking him to somehow tell us what he thinks about the future and what trends he expects, he said that he doesn't have a crystal ball. But even if he would have had it, he would have already thrown it in the rubbish bin. Because such a things happened, which even a crystal ball would not be able to tell. I'm just telling you this because if we talk about such a liquidity pressure and such a problems that the traders and clearing members experience with the CCPs, we must remember that this was such an extraordinary time that we have never seen before, and no exchange, no trader, and no CCPs could have been more prepared, I have to say. But we also have to remember that the primary aim of EMIR and the using of CCPs was actually to prepare for such times and somehow still ensure the market stability and the safety. And I would outline that despite all these difficulties in the liquidity side, let's remember that no big defaults happened. So all the CCPs were actually stable. We were actually promoting the safety in these very turbulent times. So I think a very, very hard exam was passed. So I am really a firm believer of course, exchange trading and CCP usage. But if you remember that, okay, liquidity pressure, collaterals must be there, but the counterparty risk that we are able to manage, hopefully we can all say that it's worth it.
So what do you think are the solutions and also the most viable ones?
Yeah, very good question. Maybe most of the audience that may be watching this video knows about some of the initiatives that are out on the market. I would mention EFET, the European Federation of Energy Traders, who actually put together a paper, a discussion paper, an initiative to promote actually the efficiency and this liquidity pressure topic and to find solution. Each, which is the Association of the European CCPs, was heavily involved. And actually we ourselves work together with EFET to try to find solution for the future. On our side, on the CCP side, we also admit that in certain cases, the EMIR regime is very strict and too strict because we are forced to accept only very high quality collaterals that are also actually deepen the problem. So for example, some of the initiatives that we strongly support are in this area to actually widen the collateral types that we can accept and open the range of assets that the clearing members can provide. So this is just one example, but I also want to mention that we are a firm believer that somehow the energy regulators and the financial regulators should be talking even more intensively to actually bring the two worlds closer and help that CCPs can be very efficient in the energy markets as well.
Yeah. You're still facing a number of regulatory challenges, right?
Thank you, Patrick, for the question, because I also wanted to highlight that this EMIR regime that we now several times mentioned was originally designed for financial products and the financial industry. So we on KELER CCP side, who are an EMIR licensed CCP, identified several challenges in EMIR, which are a bit difficult in the commodity world, and especially in spot energy clearing. So we try to explain and we try to facilitate this talk with the energy regulators and with the financial regulators, so these inefficiencies or these challenges can be hopefully mitigated and resolved at the end.
Yeah, yeah. What are your plans for the short and the midterm?
We are very proud that we are, as far as we know, the only CCPs who are at the moment not only active in the traditional exchange trading, but we are, for example, guaranteeing also the Hungarian gas balancing market, which is even by our regulators, energy regulators, considered a great value as we promote trust and safety also in the balancing market. So as you can see, KELER CCP is very committed. We are innovative and we try to be more and more involved in the energy products and energy markets. But to be able to really be efficient and overcome these obstacles and problems and costs that we are also causing to the market, we will continue to talk to the energy regulators, to the financial regulators, and not just alone, but let me also mention that in the association of the CCPs each, an energy task force was, for example, established to do the same. So we can really highlight the initiatives and we can together work on these.
Yeah, yeah. So you mentioned financial regulators and energy market regulators. Those worlds should come together. Is that basically your main message to regulators to see how they can support your plans?
Indeed, yes. There is a CCP world model and a very stable, well-regulated system, which has proven now not only on the financial markets, but on these energy markets and the energy during the energy crisis as well. If we have this really well-established and well-regulated system, I am a firm believer that this should be even more used in energy markets. So you are very correct that the two words need to talk, and we will do whatever possible to actually bring the two regulators together to facilitate this development.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Babett. This concludes our energy markets talk. Thank you for watching. We also have a podcast series where once a month we are discussing the energy markets. The podcast is called Energy Transitions, hosted by Enlit. So don't forget to look it up on Spotify or on other platforms. Goodbye for now.